Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Hi, I'm Chuck McDowell, the timeshare cancellation guy. In 2011, I founded Wesley Financial Group with one goal in mind, to help honest folks out of their timeshares permanently. Today, I run Wesley with my two sons, a real family business, treating every client and every employee like we'd want our own family treated. That philosophy has helped us grow into the largest, most trusted timeshare cancellation company in the United States. Fortune magazine even recognized us as one of the best places to work. Why? Because we genuinely care. In fact, some of our former clients were so moved by their experience working with us, they joined our team so they could help others to timeshare freedom. If you're stuck in a timeshare, give us a call. Let our family help your family.
Call Wesley now for your free timeshare exit kit. 800-822-1716. 800-822-1716. 800-822-1716.
Here's the Wall Street Business Report.
Stocks rose as Wall Street made its final moves ahead of a highly anticipated report on the job market. The S&P 500 climbed 0.8%. The Dow gained 0.8%. The Nasdaq Composite rallied 1%. Treasury yields fell following data that showed weaker hiring among private employers and a potential increase in layoffs. Neither is flashing a recession, but a slowdown in the job market could push the Federal Reserve to cut its main interest rate in a couple of weeks. A more comprehensive jobs report is due on Friday, which will likely carry more weight with the Fed. The Dow was up 350 points to close at 45,621. The Nasdaq gained 210 points to 21,707. The S&P 500 added 53 to 6502. For the Wall Street Business Report, I'm John Scott.
News and analysis at townhall.com.
On Point weather on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Clear this evening with a low temperature dipping down to 68. Tomorrow, mostly sunshine-filled skies to go, with a reminder summer is still here. We'll have 92 as our high temperature. Same for Saturday, sunshine in again, 92 the high. On Sunday, we get a blend of sunshine and clouds. The high is 86. There's a 20% chance of an afternoon downpour. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces. Summer sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point. This is The Point. Make The Point.
This is Sports Talk with Phil Kornblut and Chris Bergen. Sports Talk is heard across the state on radio affiliates of the Sports Talk Media Network and is streaming live on SportsTalkSC.com, as well as Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. The South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number to call in is 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now, here are Phil and Chris with tonight's edition of Sports Talk.
All right, welcome in, everybody. Sports Talk Media Network, big Thursday night edition tonight, coming to you from up in Chicago at our Chicago studios. Sports Talk, we have studios all over the place, studios in Columbia, studios in Sardis, studios in Atlanta. It's wherever we plant our behind. That's where our studios happen to be tonight in Chicago. Got a little family thing up here tomorrow. I kind of equate it to a ribbon cutting ceremony. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Be like a ribbon cutting ceremony. So we're up here for that, opening up a new business, ribbon cutting ceremony going on tomorrow. So 65 degrees here in Chicago today. 65 degrees. And low humidity. Very low humidity.
Please tell your grandson years from now that that's what you called, this celebration that you guys are in for
ribbon
this
cutting.
week.
It's a ribbon cutting. 65 degrees here, though, Bart.
That's amazing.
Come on.
That's awesome. I wish that were the case here. We were in the upper almost 90 degrees here in Florence. Supposed to be in the low 90s over the weekend. Then we start cooling back down. But, man, you want to talk about football weather for the opening night of NFL play. I don't think the NFL could have prescribed this any better. Who do the Bears play, and what's the buzz up that way about them this year?
Oh, don't care. This is the Bears. I mean, who cares? First guy I saw getting off the plane at O'Hare as I got into the terminal was wearing a Packers shirt.
How about
I gave him
that?
a shout out. I gave him a let's go Pack shout out right here in the heart of Chicagoland. So, but the Bears are the Bears. They got a new coach, and he's an offensive genius, guy from the Lions. So he's supposed to be very smart. But the guy before him was a genius, and he didn't last all that long. It's all about the quarterbacks in Chicago. They've not been able to find that guy. Now maybe they've got their guy now. We'll see in time. But I tell you, it's a great city, Chicago. Right now, they're all into the Cubs. Cubs are making
they should be
strong run for the playoffs, and they're very excited about that. That's really about the only thing they've got going for them right now, because the Bulls have been bad, the White Sox have been terrible, the Bears have been terrible. So, and the Blackhawks have been terrible. We're in my Blackhawks.
Yeah, they're even worse. Yeah,
we're in the Blackhawks cap tonight. So anyway, on to our stuff. Mike Morgan coming up shortly. Morgan on the move tonight as we move him up to about 6:15, and then Danny Cannell joins us tonight at 7:05. He's been with us before. Quarterback analyst. Can't wait to hear what he has to say about the opening weekend. Some comments from South Carolina offensive coordinator Mike Shula tonight as well, as he breaks down the Gamecocks offense from game number 1, looking ahead to game number 2. And the M&M boys, Corey Miller, Will Merritt, at 7:35. Plus, we'll drop in some recruiting notes, other news notes. Your phone calls, 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number for you. And, of course, our text message line. You can also send us some text messages. That phone number, 803-900-4847, 803-900-4847. By the way, our text message line brought to you by Larry Lucas Insurance in Columbia, who he has now opened up a new Lexington office at 5370 Sunset Drive. That's behind the Mellow Mushroom. All right, make a note, 5370 Sunset Drive, behind the Mellow Mushroom. Good for Larry. This is a direct result of his involvement with Sports Talk. He's made so much money, he's been able to expand. And by the way, you business owners out there, if you own a business and you want to get your message out across the state of South Carolina every night to a large, vast audience, and also through social media, let Sports Talk do the work for you. Send us a text message at that number, and we'll get in touch with you. That number is 803-900-4847, 803-900-4847. Folks like Larry Lucas and Jimmy Smith, many others, have benefited greatly from our advertising for them, and vice versa for us. It's great to have great people involved with the program. Okay, so Bergie, before we dive into things, what are some of the top things on your mind tonight? You've been keeping an eye on things as I was traveling up here this morning.
Well, I know Gamecock fans are excited now. They know where the Palmetto Tree and Crescent Moon are going to be at Williams-Brice Stadium on the field. Jeremiah Donati sending out an artist rendition of what the field's going to look like, and it's going to be in each end zone. One of the end zones has Carolina, and the Palmetto Tree Crescent Moon is directly to the left of the C in Carolina, and then in the other end zone is Gamecocks, and the Palmetto Tree Crescent Moon directly to the left of the G in Gamecocks. Garnet end zones with the white lettering. I think it actually looks pretty sharp, Phil. To me, it looks better in the end zones than it ever did at the 25-yard line.
All right, very good. Well, they had to put them somewhere, because if they didn't have them on there, Gamecock fans were going to boycott. They weren't going to show up at the no Palmetto Trees, no Gamecocks. Now, I did see where they also put out a post that they sold 21,000 student tickets.
No. 21,000 students requested tickets. I know many people that did not get tickets.
Really? 21,000 requested tickets. So it's the cool place to be. At Willie B for the. Did you get some, Plummer?
I did not. No, I will be comfortably watching my Gators from my couch.
Let's see now. The Gators opened up with that powerhouse from the north, Long Island. So who do you have next? The Hamptons? Are the Hamptons coming into play? I mean, what's next?
I think we have North Oregon Trident University, or like some. I don't know. We have UCF. Okay. Which actually I think SC State plays them next week.
I think they do.
Yeah.
I think they do. All right, so South Carolina and South Carolina State getting ready to get it on Saturday at Williams-Brice. Clemson and Troy, and the Tigers are big favorites. I haven't seen a line on the South Carolina and State game. I haven't seen any lines on these cross matchups between FBS and FCS teams.
That's
right. I mean, I'm sure somewhere if you want to gamble strongly enough, you can find something. A couple of other top stories that I've had a chance to catch up on since I got rolling here this afternoon. You had a little note here, and you retweeted it from the high school league about the uniforms. They want those pants for the players. They want those pants to cover the knees, right?
Yeah, they've gone on the warpath here. They sent out an update from the SCHSL, and it's a 3 lengthy paragraphs tweet that they sent out. The first one's on uniforms and equipment, and a reminder to all again. This directly from the SCFCA. Pants must cover the knee. All pads must be in the pants. Long T-shirts, especially of a different color than the pants, must be tucked into the pants. But the one I wanted to circle, Phil, is obviously the knee pads. As we've gone along the last several years, they've gotten shorter and shorter. The football pants have. Watching Coastal play this past weekend, they might as well have basketball shorts on anymore. The college kids, they don't want anything to do with the pads over the knees. But the high school league, to their credit, trying to mitigate knee injuries, doing the best they can, reminding the players, make sure the pads reach above or below the kneecap. And also they're evidently, and this is disturbing, according to the high school league, there have been a significant number of unsportsmanlike conduct fouls across the state the first few weeks of the season. The coaches are encouraging you, as in coaches across the state, to take time to speak to your players about their actions and avoid copying what they see on TV, as in many cases those actions will result in a USP foul on Friday nights. This is not about taking the fun out of the game, according to the SCFCA. It's addressing these actions is to discourage the behavior that may lead to an altercation on the field.
Well, all that's good. The thing about the knee pads and the pants, it's a safety issue, people, and I agree with you. I was going to say before you mentioned Coastal Carolina, and I'm just citing South Carolina because I remembered this from their game on Sunday. I can't remember the player, but seriously, he might as well have been playing in a Speedo. The pants just barely covered his thighs. Just barely got past his thighs. And, I know players want to be sleek and they want to be quick, they want to be fast, but I came from the days when the pads were, they stuck out like you had, you were stuffed with things. Players believed in protection way back then, and I guess today's equipment, sleeker, thinner, carbon fiber stuff. It's supposed to be good stuff, but it looks like they've got nothing on, and you see the college kids with the knees fully exposed and even up to the thigh area. I don't get it. I don't see how you can be slowed down. I think you should be more concerned about your knees and your skin and your health more than the fact that it might cost you 1/1000th of a second. I don't know, but yeah, I'm glad to see the high school league make that a point to emphasize that moving forward.
Well, and I didn't mean to pick on Coastal. It was just a team like you. It was the team I saw over the weekend. And I'm looking at a picture from TigerNet of Cade Klubnik throwing a pass against LSU. And the bottom of his pants are about, it looks like in the picture, about 3 to 4 inches above his kneecap. So, it's across the board in college football. The players have been able to get away with it. The officials, I think, have just gotten to a point to their credit. They just, I'm not going to continue to enforce this because it's falling on deaf ears. So the high school league had to do something to step in because, again, this is all about safety. It has nothing to do with slowing them down, as you pointed out. It's everything to do about safety, and you wonder how much longer the colleges are going and athletic trainers at the collegiate level are going to allow this to happen before they lose somebody to a knee injury because he doesn't have any covering.
Yeah. All right. Going to run to the break off of that and welcome in Mike Morgan in just a moment. Mike Morgan on the move. He'll be joining us to share his unique commentary on the developments of the last week on the gridiron. In 7:05, Danny Cannell, and 7:35, the M&M boys, Corey Miller, Will Merritt, and we'll drop in some other great stuff in between all that. Sports Talk. It's a big Thursday coming to you from Chicago and Sardis and Columbia. Back in a moment.
This is Major Billy Downer with the Department of Natural Resources, and I've got a message for all of our hunters out there. Whether you're on the water or going hunting on land, always tell someone where you're going. Be specific and tell them when you plan to return. Plan your hunt and hunt your plan. For more information on hunter education, visit dnr.sc.gov or join us on Wednesday nights for SC Wild.
Download the free Go Outdoors SC app from SCDNR, buy licenses, report harvests, and carry everything digitally right on your phone. Go Outdoors SC.
Your home is where your memories live. It's where you laugh and where you love. We understand the importance of the valuables under your roof, tangible and intangible alike. So no matter what's around the corner, we'll be there, offering you and your family the support that's made Farm Bureau Insurance a trusted name for nearly 70 years. You deserve more. You deserve a promise. Learn more at scfbins.com.
Call me, Alex Satterfield, at 803-749-9171 for all of your Midlands insurance needs.
Straight Up Sports is simply all sports, all the time. Straight Up Sports is a collection of retired and award-winning sports writers and sports broadcasters from around South Carolina. Like Bob Gillespie from the State Newspaper, Scott Kiefer from the Greenville News, and Mark Sturgis from ESPN Upstate. Straight Up Sports is about the stories, just like the days gone by with no editors nor managers involved. Check us out on Facebook or Twitter or online at straightupsports.net.
You work hard for your money. Shouldn't your money work hard for you too? Think about all the hours you've put in, the late nights, the early mornings, the dedication to your craft. Now imagine those dollars doing some of the heavy lifting for a change, growing quietly in the background while you focus on what matters most. Whether you're saving for a dream vacation, a new home, or just building a cushion for peace of mind, putting your money to work is one of the smartest moves you can make. Open a certificate at Founders Federal Credit Union and earn more with your savings. For a limited time only, Founders is offering 18-month certificates at 4.32% annual percentage yield and 18-month IRA certificates at 4.58% annual percentage yield. To get started, visit foundersfcu.com/dividend rates or one of our many convenient office locations. All you need is $500 to get started, but don't delay. These rates won't last. Open your certificate today. Your future self will thank you for opening a certificate at Founders. Federally insured by the NCUA. Membership qualification required. $500 minimum balance. 18-month term. Dividends compound quarterly. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Okay, we're back at Sports Talk Media Network, big Thursday night. Welcome in Mike Morgan. Morgan on the Move. Mike brought to you by Play It Again Sports in Harbison. Chris Mosley running the best sporting goods shop in the Palmetto State. He's got palmetto trees probably in his shop. With all the things you'll want to buy, sell, or trade. Best selection, best prices, great friendly staff. That's Play It Again Sports in Columbia.
Sponsored by Midstate Roofing, South Carolina's leading roofer for over 30 years, protecting what matters most.
Mike Morgan, the man with multiple sponsors, multiple shows, multiple podcasts, multiple broadcasts, multiple Mike. Welcome in, Morg. How are you?
Multiple M's in my initials, as it turns out.
Ooh, so that's very good, very quick.
Got a lot of multiples going on today.
Good to have you with us. We don't have a lot of time with you. Yeah, we don't have a lot of time with you, so let's dive in. You've had some time to think about the weekend pass, so what stuck out to you?
Well, let's start with the locals. I mean, look, LSU, to me, is a playoff team. I don't think Clemson fans ought to be dejected too much about the loss. I get it. It's a home loss. The offense did not exactly click. I still think Clemson is a favorite to win the ACC, although there appears to be some greater competition because Miami looked awfully good and Florida State looked awfully good. So maybe the Florida schools actually will compete for something in that conference this year and perhaps even win the league. from a Carolina standpoint, it was kind of stagnant there for a couple of quarters. Questions about the defense, some of them I think were erased. Questions about the offense. To me, it's still a work in progress. Like, as I've said, Lenoris is such a unique athlete. That's in your toolbox anytime you want to use it. You can hit Lenoris run, and he's going to make plays that 99% of the people on the planet won't make. But at some point, the passing game, you'd like to see it evolve a little bit. And I'm not sure if it took a major step. I mean, other than the big play, obviously, to Harbor, one of which should have been a touchdown. That's a whole other story that I could go on for minutes and minutes on the rule that what is a catch and what is not a catch. But, it's a quality win. I think you gain much more at a playing competition in week one than just beating up on a patsy. So that's the local side of things, and a big picture side. Ohio State obviously had the biggest win. They are still the team to beat, I think, in college football. But I'm still high on Texas. I picked Texas and Georgia to meet in Atlanta, and I'm not backing off of that now because of one 14-7 loss. And then the other story, to me, in the SEC, what is Oklahoma going to look like this week? I had Auburn defeating Baylor last week. I've got Mississippi State against Arizona State this week. I think those are the kind of programs that can make a significant move upward this year in the Southeastern Conference. Maybe Arkansas with Taylon Green. I think the league actually will be deeper than it was a year ago because I think all those teams have improved from what they were a year ago.
I agree. Then at the top, there's Alabama dealing with that loss to Florida State, and not so sure the coach has helped himself very much this week with his press conference and his outward demeanor. And, of course, when you lose, everybody's looking for things to pick on. But very tough start, and you got some former Alabama players kind of calling him out because he didn't chew out his players publicly, kind of like Dabo Swinney did with some of his players. So where does Kalen DeBoer go from here?
Yeah, Dabo came right out and said Cade Klubnik needs to play like a dude, right?
Like a dude.
I'm not sure if anybody in an Alabama uniform played like a dude.
I think you're a dude, Mike. I think you're a dude.
Well, thank you.
When you're on this show, you always come across as a dude.
This is a dude segment, I like to think. I think after every one of these segments, coaches across the country that listen to Sports Talk, they say that's a dude right there. That is a dude performance.
We only broadcast to dudes. We only reach out to dudes. We're all about the dudes.
Yes, exactly. And I think that's a good demo to hit.
I listened to your broadcast the other day, and I said, that's a dude. That guy calling the game, that's a dude.
I thank you for that. That is the ultimate compliment. When somebody listens to your play-by-play, they say, that is a dude. You can't ask for any more than that.
No.
I mean, that's a drop the mic right there.
Yep. Give me the dude.
Yeah, man. But no, we overreact to week one in college football, right? We always do. We don't have to do that as much anymore because we have a 12-team playoff. So the teams that lost, who were top 10 teams that lost to top 10 opponents, they're still in it. The only one that's definitely a concern is the one you just mentioned. That's Alabama. And I don't know what to make out of that. I don't know what the deal is. So I think I heard the stat. Florida State had one 5-star guy in the field. Alabama had something like 11. That's more your turf than mine, Phil. But you can't say Alabama doesn't have the talent, and you can't even blame the quarterback. There's a lot of loafing going on, and Florida State was the much more physical team. That's, to me, the most disappointing thing from an Alabama perspective, right? I mean, how is that the case? That is a Florida State team that was 2-10 a year ago. So I think that's the fascinating story. And then, this week you're not going to learn much from the opponents there in state. Week 3, dare we look ahead? Carolina Vanderbilt, I think, is pretty juicy. Actually, I'm curious to see how Vandy does against Virginia Tech this week, and that's in Blacksburg.
Yeah.
How does Diego Pavia look in that game? How good was Virginia Tech? I think Gamecock fans will be keeping a close eye on that game as they look ahead to the Vanderbilt game in Week 3.
Mike, quick thoughts on the ACC again, and with North Carolina in particular. You talk about a team that was not very physical. They just got run over by a freight train. But should we have anticipated that any team with 70 new players, Bill Belichick notwithstanding, I would think is not going to look that good? I mean, has he gotten into a situation that maybe he's bitten off more than he can chew?
Yeah, there's a guy that was a dude at the NFL level, maybe the best dude ever. I don't know if he's going to be a dude as a college football coach. Look, I didn't expect much out of North Carolina in year one, but I thought maybe a little bit more than that. I mean, you compare that to what Mac Brown had. Bill has a payroll, a staff, a transfer portal budget. Mac didn't have all that when he took over, and it didn't take Mac that long to win. He just peaked, and then he went downward, and that's pretty much been North Carolina football in a nutshell, right? Like they just can't make it to the next level. And even when they have a breakout year, they quickly fall back down. But no, I'm not expecting the Tar Heels to do much in that league. It's a great story for a couple of weeks, and then when Bill starts getting smoked, then it's not a great story. But I think it's Clemson, it's Miami. We'll start talking about SMU soon, I'm sure, and it might be Florida State because Gus Malzahn with that kind of quarterback in Castellanos, that's dangerous. I think Florida State's going to win a lot more games than the two they put up last year.
Well, I'll throw a wild card in there, too. I think Virginia Tech, that's not my wild card. I think Virginia Tech could be a bit of a factor, but I think Duke, with that quarterback, that transfer quarterback they got from Tulane, they don't lose some of their significant players to injury. I mean, they're going to cause people some trouble because they can move the ball and they can score. And we're going to let you go because I know you've got to get on to something else. Maybe is it fantasy football time? What you got going on?
I cannot reveal what is going on. These are security clearance issues.
Gotcha.
A lot of people listening, government, FBI, CIA, IRS, but I can just tell you it's important. And as always, I appreciate the time.
We won't share your address to any of those agencies, but that's what dudes do. That was very dude-like for you to close things out with a big bang like that. Awesome.
Sometimes it's all about quality over quantity. You know that we don't have to talk about the Braves being bad. Everybody gets that. NFL season's around the corner. Packers are going to be great. I know. Blah blah blah. We'll save some meat on the bone for next week.
That sounds like a plan.
Thanks, Mike.
See you guys.
Have a great one. Mike Morgan on the move, and we're back after the break.
On Point Weather on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Clear this evening with a low temperature dipping down to 68. Tomorrow, mostly sunshine-filled skies to go with a reminder summer is still here. We'll have 92 as our high temperature. Same for Saturday, sunshine and again, 92 the high. On Sunday, we get a blend of sunshine and clouds. The high is 86. There's a 20% chance of an afternoon downpour. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
What's better than getting the best Wagyu and Hereford beef anywhere in these parts and getting it delivered to your door? How about knowing you're still supporting local farmers in Saluda over at H&J Cattle, where tradition meets quality. Visit HandJCattle.com. Place your order for $50 or more, get free delivery in Richland or Lexington County. Plus, Point listeners get 10% off your order. Enter keyword The Point as one word for your discount. HandJCattle.com.
The Point.
On Thursday. With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. The District of Columbia is challenging President Trump's use of the National Guard in Washington. The city is asking a federal court to intervene even as Trump plans to send troops to other cities in the name of driving down crime. The district said that the deployment, which now involves more than 1,000 troops, is an illegal use of military for domestic law enforcement. The White House says deploying the Guard to protect federal assets and assist law enforcement is within Trump's authority as president. Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. faced tough bipartisan questioning about his COVID-19 policies in a Senate committee hearing. On Thursday, Democratic senators clashed with Kennedy and over his changes to vaccine recommendations, while some Republican senators also expressed concerns. This is SRN News.
Sometimes timing is everything, and I've been talking the talk about Broker Solar for a good minute. I'm a fan. I've had some point listeners ask me about Broker Solar. They're on the fence because of what's going on in D.C. Now that the politics have settled, we know what's in that big, beautiful bill. We know the federal tax credit for getting solar power at your home. It's going to end in December. So the clock is ticking. You want that 30% federal tax credit, believe me. So we need to get Ken out to your place before they cut it. Plus, you'll still get a 25% tax credit here in South Carolina. So yeah, timing is everything. 30% federal, 25% state credit. Are you kidding me? That's a big part of the cost already knocked out for solar power. It's time for you to take control of your own power bill. Like I said, timing's everything. Now is the time. Online, it's brokersolar.com or just call Ken and his team. 807-7417. That's 807-7417. brokersolar.com.
Hey y'all, it's Ted from Flight Deck Restaurant. We're introducing the Wing and a Prayer Wednesday special. Purchase an order of wings and a drink and get a free gift card for the arcade. We have some of the most mouth-watering jumbo wings like flamethrower hot wings, barbecue wings, teriyaki wings, honey mustard wings, terry hot wings. You can get a half dozen for $9.95 or a dozen for $18.95. Served with celery and choice of dressing. So come join us at Flight Deck Restaurant to enjoy some great jumbo wings and lots of fun in our new and improved arcade. And we at Flight Deck Restaurant thank y'all and God bless.
This fall, discover a place where friendly faces greet you at the door. McCoy's Hardware of Lexington, Greg Lynette, and their welcoming team make every visit a breeze with expert advice and genuine hometown care. No more endless aisles or big box blues, just quality products and people who want to know your name. For every project, big or small, find what you need and a neighborly smile at 2028 Augusta Highway. Shop local. Shop happy. McCoy's Hardware of Lexington.
Are you in the market for an auto loan? Move now. Get an auto loan from Founders Federal Credit Union now through October 31st. You'll be in $1,000 toward your qualifying auto loan and a $5,000 deposit into your Loyalty Select account. Loyalty Select is our highest yield savings account. Leave it there to grow or transfer it out to spend. And the best part? We'll be choosing monthly winners. So the earlier you get your auto loan, the more chances you have to win. So don't wait. Visit foundersfcu.com/auto to learn more or begin your auto loan application today. Not a Founders member yet? Visit us online or stop by an office to learn more about Founders and see if you qualify for membership. We have the financial tools you'll need and the personalized service you deserve. Relax, you're with Founders. Terms and conditions apply. Membership qualification required.
Okay, we're back at Sports Talk Media Network, big Thursday night edition. Thanks to Mike Morgan for being with us. If you miss anything tonight, remember you can always find the show in podcast form, the different parts of the show in podcast form. You can find it at StreamYard. You can also find it at SoundCloud. SoundCloud, the best place to go. SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Podcast, all those great places you can find the show if you miss the live version. Phone number 888-898-2525. South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number for you. Poll question of the week here on Sports Talk, presented by Larry Lucas Insurance here in Columbia. His primary location, which has been right on the corner of Gervais and Hardin Streets in Columbia. And the phone number 803-799-1998. Reminder, he's got a new location in Lexington off of Sunset Drive behind the Mellow Mushroom. And the question is, coming off that opening weekend, which of these statements is closest to the truth? Clemson, the sky is falling. South Carolina, the sky is the limit. Or it's too soon to tell. And 75% of the votes say it's just too soon to tell after 1 week. 22.2% say for South Carolina, the sky is the limit, which means they expect big things. 2.8%, finally, some folks voted that the sky is falling on Clemson. I don't know. Next week at Georgia Tech, if the Tigers have trouble there, perhaps even lose to Georgia Tech, I think that would be applicable, Bergie.
Yeah, I was thinking while you were running through the choices, you could probably run that poll question again next week, and the same scenarios apply, unless Clemson loses to Troy, which I don't think any of us believes is going to happen. So yeah, but the Georgia Tech game now is massive for the Tigers since they've already lost one. They may not be able to lose one in the ACC this year and qualify with, as you pointed out, with some teams that have played extremely well opening weekend. But again, is Florida State going to maintain that level? Are we going to see Georgia Tech maintain the level that they played against Colorado? Is Virginia Tech any good at all? Is North Carolina as bad as they looked? We'll find out here in a couple of weeks.
Interesting here. I'm looking at a video of some cut-ups from the Clemson LSU game by a former NFL offensive lineman, Landon Tingwall, a longtime NFL offensive lineman. And now he's doing a show, of course, a college football show. And I think he played at Penn State. And he studies offensive, defensive line. And so he's presented this about 4 minutes of video from the Clemson LSU game. It's cut-ups of Clemson trying to run the football. And I haven't heard him. I haven't listened to the audio portion. I've only looked at the video. But what he wrote above the video is, quote, Clemson has a coaching issue, 1.5 yards per carry. And then he's got here's why with the arrow pointing down to the video. And he just shows over and over again different Clemson running plays where whoever's carrying the football has nowhere to run. And he's drawing various circles and lines showing where linemen are supposed to be blocking or running backs are supposed to be picking up linebackers and they're not getting it done. I don't know who he's pointing out here when he says Clemson has a coaching issue. Is he talking about running back coaching? Is he talking about offensive line coaching? I mean, I'll have to go listen to the video. We retweeted that if you want to check it out. Have you had a chance to look at that?
I have not. It's first I've seen it as you're describing it, and I'm watching, and one of the corners or linebackers for LSU just comes in untouched on the play. He's got diagrams, at least the initial play he has on there, makes the tackle behind the line of scrimmage, and he draws arrows as to where the Clemson offensive linemen have gone. So to me, it would explain. I think he's, now again, I'm like you, I have not had a chance to listen to what he's saying, but just judging by whom he's circling and different things, this should fall on Matt Luke's plate, right? I mean, it looks like he's calling out the offensive line.
Well,
and
again,
we'll have the perfect guy to explain all of this coming up just after 7:30.
Exactly, and Will Merritt, unless he's pointing out that the offensive linemen are getting out and making their blocks, but the running backs aren't running to the hole, aren't running to the right place, aren't making any move, just running straight. It appears to me he's pointing out the running backs are just taking the football and running pretty much straight ahead. Or maybe I just saw another clip where they handed the ball off and there was nowhere to go. He was dropped in the backfield. So we'll have to listen to this after the show. Meantime, I'm looking at, you mentioned the palmetto trees on the field at Williams-Brice. I'm looking at a video that South Carolina football put out, and they've painted the end zones garnet with the wording Gamecocks on one side of the field and the end zone, Carolina on the other side. So that's good. That adds some color, some flavor to the football field there at South Carolina. So that's pretty cool. And let's see a couple of other notes. The Football Oversight Committee of the NCAA voted today to support a single transfer portal in January. This by Ross Dellinger of Yahoo Sports. The administrative committee still needs to formally adopt the change. The committee also supported changes to the recruiting calendar, making December a dead period and January 5 through 31 a contact period. They did not vote on a potential summer signing date, which was expected and may come later. So let me digest this. They want to take December and make it a dead period. And you know what? That's a very smart thing because you got playoffs going on, you got bowl games going on, you got a lot of things going on from a football coaching standpoint. So I bet you coaches would agree with that. They got a lot on their plate in December, and also if you're going to have a January transfer window, then also a great deal of December has got to be taken up with re-recruiting your own players and determining within your organization who's staying and who's leaving.
Yeah, you're right. But I have to question and ask about the January 5 through 31st as a contact period. So I'm assuming that means coaches can start seeing, and the kids can get into the transfer portal and be contacted by, other schools. My question is, how are they going to fit that model with the way the school calendar is set up? Wasn't that the big complaint that everybody was trying to transfer and they ran out of time? They had about 2 weeks from the end of the season to when the new school calendar started in January for the spring semester. I mean, I would assume that the single transfer portal is a really good idea, but why not have it in May as opposed to January? Then you're out of the academic calendar.
I believe, without having more information in front of me, my take on this would be this refers to high school recruiting and not portal recruiting. This January 5 through 31 would refer to, coaches going on the road, going into high schools, official visits. That means there'd be no high school official visits in December. And as far as the transfer guys and all that, I don't know if this – I just don't have enough information to know if this involves them. As far as that date, I mean, I would disagree with you because if you wait till May, I mean, if you're taking transfers, you want to get them in and get them in spring practice. And so if you wait until May, they're gonna miss all that spring practice. So they're gonna keep a date early enough to where the guys can transfer and then get in school and then get involved in spring practice. Yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's just football does not fit nicely into the academic calendar.
No,
does it?
But they don't care about why would they care about that anymore?
Mm-hmm.
Bill Belichick has banned scouts from the Patriots from attending his practices to scout his players. This is being reported by John Middlecoff. NFL scouts in general have faced hurdles scouting North Carolina players so far under Belichick's tenure at North Carolina. Now, why would you take that position if you're Belichick?
That's a great question. My point, my thought process, though, after watching what I saw Monday night, I don't think he's going to have to worry about NFL scouts, period. Because I don't think they've got any NFL-level players on that team. But, yeah, that's petty. That obviously shows he's still got bitter feelings about the way things ended in New England. And so this is his only recourse. All right, fine. Patriot scouts can't come watch my team practice. But now why you would limit the amount of access that other NFL scouts have to your team, I have no idea.
Speaking
because
of,
he'll learn
NFL
fast, Phil. He's going to learn fast that'll be used against him in recruiting.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of NFL, of course, opens up tonight. Eagles and Cowboys. Looking forward to the Cowboys getting drubbed by the defending Super Bowl champions. Alabama has the most players, former players, on NFL active rosters. Brett McMurphy put this together. 62. Georgia has 57. Clemson has 26, and South Carolina has 25. Found this interesting from On3, the 2024 college football recruiting budgets. The team that has the greatest budget for recruiting, according to this ranking, is Tennessee at $5.3 million. Alabama's next at 5.2. A&M at 4.1. Georgia at 4. Oklahoma at 3.8. Texas at 3.6. The first non-SEC team ranked number 7 is Clemson at 3.1. South Carolina is 18th at 1.9. So Clemson outspins
in the SEC.
Yeah. Clemson outspins South Carolina in recruiting by about $1.2 million, according to this. Okay, go figure that one out. $1.2 million. And South Carolina women soccer team, a 2-0 winner this afternoon over American University in Washington. Had another brace in this game, Bergie, another brace.
Another brace?
Isn't that what they call it? When one person scores 2 goals, it's called a brace?
Oh. Okay, sure.
Yeah. I had to look it up.
Very cool.
Let me make sure I got that right. I'm pretty sure that's right. Yeah, in soccer, a brace refers to a player scoring 2 goals in a single match. So there you go. Don't tell me I don't know soccer. So
well done.
That's a brace. Somebody got a brace, and the USC women having a good season, and they win it 2-0. We're going to go to the break and come back and hear from South Carolina offensive coordinator Mike Shula. He talks about how the Gamecocks performed in his eyes in that win over Virginia Tech. What do you think of Lenore Sellers running around out there? How do you feel about the protection of the offensive line? Stuff like that. We'll hear from him. And then Danny Cannell coming up at 7:05. We'll have some recruiting for you as well. Players are announcing plans to be at South Carolina, of course, and at Clemson, but more at South Carolina this weekend. Back in a moment.
There's a lot of things we take for granted in our lives. Your home's AC will run cool. Your drive-through coffee will be hot. And the car will start when it's time to take your kids to school. It's when things don't go as planned that you start thinking about who to call and where to turn. The good thing is, you can prepare for life's most difficult days by calling the Larry Lucas Agency today. Larry is a State Farm agent that has been taking care of people across South Carolina for more than 2 decades. You probably have insurance, but switching is easy, and bundling can save you hundreds or more. Most importantly, the Larry Lucas Agency can help you choose the protection you want at the price you want. All backed by South Carolina's #1 home and auto insurance company. Visit LarryLucasAgency.com today or give Larry a call at 803-799-1998. Like a good neighbor, Larry Lucas State Farm is there.
Traveling can be the worst, especially when you can't find your favorite show. Well, don't worry. We've got the perfect way to keep up with everything happening in the Palmetto State when you're away from home. Just pull up the Chief Sports app on your mobile device, and you can listen live to Sports Talk.
All right, welcome in, everybody. Sports Talk Media Network.
So the next time you can't find us on one of our great radio affiliates, just log on to the Chief Sports app, the best way to stay connected with the Sports Talk Media Network.
This is Larry Leitner, owner and founder of Midstate Roofing, and for nearly 30 years, we've continued to be the proven leader in the roofing and waterproofing industry. Midstate Roofing's proven history is your assurance that our professionals at Midstate Roofing will provide the proper advice, service, and results to the needs of your facility in a manner both safe and pleasing to your operation. From high-rise to hospitals, manufacturing to industrial, Midstate Roofing designs and installs bonded systems with a protective guarantee that will keep your operation dry and running long into the future. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
And this is Blake Leitner, reminding you to protect that roof with a maintenance contract. Call me today at 803-356-1919 or online at midstateroofing.com. That's midstateroofing.com.
You'll speak to an on-call technician after hours or a Midstate Roofing staff member during hours at 803-356-1919 or online at midstateroofing.com. And as always, tell them Midstate Twins.
If you have a leak, let Midstate Roofing take a peek.
The lottery is not about getting rich. It's about helping people, and it always has been. The lottery is what helped raise the Great Wall of China, build the roads of Rome, and today in South Carolina, it's what generates millions of dollars each year for scholarships like the SC Hope, Life, and Palmetto Fellows. The South Carolina Education Lottery is investing in you. Visit sceducationlottery.com/betteryou to learn more.
Sports Talk Media Network around the state of South Carolina, also streaming live on the Chief Sports app. Make sure you download the Chief Sports app. It's a free app. You can catch Sports Talk there wherever you go, as well as a bunch of other great shows from around the state and around the country. That's the Chief Sports app. the chief of the Gamecocks offense, Mike Shula. And Gamecocks didn't necessarily tear it up. They had one impressive drive to open the game. They had one big pass play for a touchdown. Between that, not a whole heck of a lot, to be quite honest with you. A lot of punts, and didn't really tear it up offensively. What did Mike Shula think of the offense? He spoke with the media earlier this week.
Mike, after having a chance to look back and cut up the film and everything, how did you think the overall offense played, and specifically the offensive line? How do you think they did?
Well, I think kind of about what you saw out there. I mean, there was some really good things at times, and some things that weren't as good. The good things were, I'm sure, as Shane has probably talked about, we got off to a good start, stayed out of the third downs and in that first drive, except for the last one. The negative plays are what kill you on offense, and that's what we preach about it. And even if you kind of get a little momentum, and then all of a sudden you have a negative play, then it kind of just stalls, and you're kind of you're playing behind the sticks. And so we got to avoid that. Try to avoid that much more than we did the other day. After the good start, we kind of fell into that a little bit. But I was proud of the way the guys just kind of continued to stay focused. They dialed in. That's hard when things, the emotions of the game, how the way your feelings go after a drive when you scored and you come back and you go 3 and out, or you have a negative play or whatever, take a safety or whatever it is. You just got to kind of, and they did a good job with that. Now, it wasn't perfect by any means, but overall, obviously it's good to win, and it's all about winning and getting better, and that's kind of been the theme for today. And the offensive line was probably a microcosm of what I just talked about.
With Lenoris, what was sort of your talking points, or what were your talking points with him coming off the field after the safety?
Yeah, same thing. After the safety? Oh, I thought you said after the game. Yeah, I mean, just obviously, our number one goal is to get a first down, and the worst thing that can happen is take a safety. So we got to be better there, and all of us can be better offensively, coaching, me, and all of us. And so, yeah, I mean, it's but learn from it is the main thing. Hey, and once something like that happens, whether or not it's a safety, a negative play, a turn, whatever, you got to figure out what happened, why it happened, and then move on, and just it's in the past. There's nothing you can do about it. Go on and stay focused. And these are things we're going to talk about for the next drive moving forward.
Hi, Mike. The tight ends seem to be really involved in that first drive. What kind of went into that being one of the emphases of that first drive, and how much do you want to see those guys continue to be involved in the passing game as the season progresses?
Yeah, I just think it's kind of, we want to be very, as much as we can, very, whatever the word is, diversified. And, everybody that has the ability to touch the ball, we want to make sure that if teams are looking at us as an offense, that everybody is a target, not just certain receivers or backs or Lenoris or whatever. We need to be able to be balanced in that regard. So, and part of it, so we have to have that ability going into every game. And then, depending on how defenses play us, sometimes the ball goes to the running backs a little bit more, goes to the tight ends or the wide receivers. So, but just to have the ability going into a game and as coaches, and then collectively as an offense, but each guy individually, each position. Hey, you never know. In practice all week, you may have not. We may have run that same play, that same pass play, and you didn't get the ball all week, and then all of a sudden in the game, it's maybe a little bit different than what we thought. So I think that was, but that's up every week, and whether or not the tight ends are, first in the read or third in the read.
Was the plan going into the game to run Lenoris on designed runs on a lot of those third and short, third and medium, fourth and short?
I think that, it just kind of, we want to have the ability to be able to have him, run the ball kind of at any time. There's not really any like, hey, this week we're going to run him a bunch in this situation, or run him a bunch, in this manner. I kind of said all along that, he is talented. He's a talented runner, but we want him. Whether or not it's obviously a called quarterback run is different. But as far as him running the football on his own, we kind of want him running it because, he wants to, maybe, as opposed to I didn't quite see the read correctly, so I just took off and ran. That's our goal of him getting better. He's very talented. There's a lot of quarterbacks in college and the NFL that that have the ability to do that, and I think probably every coach is kind of saying the same thing. So, but he did some really good things there for us.
Oscar got a good bulk of the carries on Sunday and a couple of drives where he was heavily featured in the run and the pass game. What do you kind of see from him throughout practice and who he is as a runner to give you confidence to feature him that much?
Yeah, he's been probably, and that group's a good group. I'll say that to start with. They worked hard and they played physical. They played really hard the other day, physical. And he's probably been the most consistent throughout, going back to day one of spring ball. And he's got a very, kind of a lunch pail mentality of just, being that steady force, whether or not it's, running the football, catching it, pass protecting. So, you kind of want guys like that. And again, it's not really ever dictated kind of, especially we talked about the running backs last week on how we're going to kind of substitute those guys. It's just kind of the game starts one way, and then sometimes you have certain plays for like Oscar or maybe for Rasul or whoever, Isaiah, whoever. And then and then after that, we just kind of let it go. And the biggest thing for us is, hey, let's stay on the field so they all can kind of get into a groove. But he's been really good. He's been a steadying force.
You mentioned it. Were there a lot of times during the game where Lenoris ran and maybe you didn't want him to, or?
No, I mean, probably not more than some of the other games in the past. But yeah, it's just you kind of look at after the game kind of how many touches he has and all that kind of stuff, and then you kind of look at how many called runs you have, and so I don't think there's any exact science to it. Going back to some of the other guys I've been around that I've coached or been with coaches that have coached quarterbacks, it's just he's a weapon both throwing the ball and running the ball, so we want to make sure we use that, but we also want to kind of keep him healthy. We want to keep him healthy.
After that opening touchdown drive, 7 plays, 75 yards, the Gamecocks went punt, gave up a safety from their own 2 after an interception. Now, they should not have been put in that position, but they were, and it led to a safety. Then a punt and a punt. Then a 13-play, 70-yard drive, but they couldn't knock it in, had to kick a field goal. Then a punt and a punt, and then that quick 3-play, 75-yard drive with a 64-yard touchdown. So not a whole heck of a lot of meat in that sandwich of the 2 touchdowns. Be right back.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces. Summer Sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. The Health and Human Services Secretary was on Capitol Hill Thursday defending the president's health care policies. Details from correspondent Bernie Bennett.
Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. testified on President Donald Trump's health care agenda before the Senate Finance Committee.
Let me start with the big picture. Under President Trump's leadership, we at HHS are enacting a once-in-a-generation shift from a sick care system to a true health care system that tackles the root causes of chronic disease.
The hearing comes following the firing of CDC Director Susan Monteraz less than a month into her tenure. The Secretary defended new policies for vaccinations in public schools. Bernie Bennett in Washington.
The regional border chief of the U.S. Border Patrol, Gregory Bavino, is racking up immigration arrests in Los Angeles.
We're not going to hit one location. We're going to hit as many as we can all over the Los Angeles region. We're going to turn and burn to that next target. We're not going to stop until there's not a problem here anymore.
Undeterred by court orders, Bavino revels in catchphrases breaking norms in an unflinching defense of the purpose of the raids.
And if they violate immigration law, they're going to get arrested. It doesn't matter who they are, what color.
Arrests from the Los Angeles effort topped 5,000 last week. I'm Jennifer King.
The District of Columbia is challenging President Trump's use of the National Guard in Washington. The city is asking a federal court to intervene even as Trump plans to send troops to other cities in the name of driving down crime. The district said in a lawsuit that the deployment, which now involves more than 1,000 troops, is an illegal use of the military for domestic law enforcement. The White House says deploying the Guard to protect federal assets and assist law enforcement is within Trump's authority as president. On Wall Street, the Dow by 350 points. More at townhall.com.
This is an important notice to all U.S. taxpayers. The IRS is giving away billions of dollars in tax savings through a federal program called the Fresh Start Initiative to aid delinquent taxpayers. This initiative was established for anyone facing financial hardship and unable to pay their back taxes. Qualifying and enrolling in this program will stop all collections, settle your delinquent tax problem, and even reduce what you owe by thousands of dollars. Call the hotline at People's Tax Relief to see if you qualify and get this free information by dialing 800-458-9469. If you have unfiled tax returns or cannot afford to pay your personal or business back taxes, you can now get the help you need. One simple phone call can resolve your tax problem and save you thousands of dollars. To see if you qualify and to get this important free information, call 800-458-9469. 800-458-9469. 800-458-9469.
Markets are back in record territory.
Stocks gained ground on Wall Street Thursday. The S&P 500 rose 0.8%. The Dow Jones Industrial Average rose 0.8%. The Nasdaq Composite rallied 1%. Treasury yields fell following data that showed weaker hiring among private employers and a potential increase in layoffs. Neither is flashing a recession, but a slowdown in the job market could push the Federal Reserve to cut its main interest rate for the first time this year during its meeting in a few weeks. A more comprehensive jobs report is due Friday, which will likely carry more weight with the Fed. Damian Troisi, New York.
President Donald Trump will host a high-powered list of tech CEOs for a dinner at the White House this evening, including Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates, Apple CEO Tim Cook, and Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg. News and analysis at townhall.com. From Washington, I'm Keith Peters. French President.
On Point weather on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Clear this evening with a low temperature dipping down to 68. Tomorrow, mostly sunshine-filled skies to go, with a reminder summer is still here. We'll have 92 as our high temperature. Same for Saturday, sunshine and again, 92 the high. On Sunday, we get a blend of sunshine and clouds. The high is 86. There's a 20% chance of an afternoon downpour. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces. Summer sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point. This is The Point. Make the point.
Welcome back to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. You can reach the guys with the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number, 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now back to Phil and Chris with the second hour of Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network.
We are back on Sports Talk Media Network here across the state of South Carolina. Great to have you with us this big Thursday night. Phil Kornbluth, Chris Bergen, the plumber, Josh Cohen, back at our studios in Columbia. We got some recruiting coming your way, some more news notes for you, text messages to get to. The M&M boys at 7:35. Right now, though, it's a pleasure to welcome back to Sports Talk somebody who is becoming one of our favorites. Always been kind of a favorite, watching him on television and hearing him on the radio, but now here on Sports Talk, becoming one of our favorites, former quarterback Danny Cannell, joining us once again here on the program. And Danny, welcome back to Sports Talk. How you doing?
What's up, fellas? How we doing? It's great to be back on. It means it's college football season. Week 1 is in the books. Week 1 was phenomenal. We had so many great games. I think the season is going to be wide open. That's kind of unfolded already early, so I'm fired up.
You sound like it, and we love it. We love it. And I know why you're fired up. What about those Seminoles? Was that for real? Was that for real? Will they carry that into ACC play?
I think so. I think they will. You know, it's still, I mean, a lot of people are just ready to bury Alabama because they lost to a 2-win team from last year. But if we've learned anything, you know, it is possible to completely turn around a program through the transfer portal. And that's Mike Norvell and the Seminoles have kind of lived in the portal for the past few years. And a couple of years ago, it worked out almost perfectly. Remember, they ran the table and then got left out of the playoffs. And then last year was a disaster. And I do think that's kind of what you'll see happen. I think that's a highly volatile way to live. Like, I'd like to see Florida State balance out some more recruiting, which I think they will. But I do think they're legit, and I'm not ready to throw Alabama away either. I think they're still a pretty good roster. But I thought the difference for Florida State was they have a quarterback who they believe in. You know, Thomas Castellanos comes in from Boston College, a place where he was a little bit up and down, but he did play great against Florida State the last 2 years. You know, he beat them last year in Tallahassee, and the year before in Boston, he almost beat them, and he played great with those games, and he looks like a difference maker for that offense, and the team believes in him, and they feel like they have a chance in any game. And I don't know if there was one game across the country that changed your perception more about a program than what Florida State did to Alabama, because it wasn't fluky. They looked like they could physically dominate that team. So I think that's a huge step in the right direction for the Noles.
Yeah, excellent point, and the nation has certainly taken notice. How about back in your day, were you ever allowed to mouth off about a big-time upcoming opponent like he did? Now, he went out and backed it up, which was good for him, but did you ever throw that kind of stuff out there?
Heck no. Coach Bowden would have had me running stadiums for every night. I wouldn't have been able to walk, until a couple days before the game. And, it was interesting because I hated those comments and I didn't like the way they transpired. But I will say this. It was a written article. So he was talking to reporter Pete Nakos from On 3. Everything he's said kind of since then has been very respectful. And he said what he said, and I wouldn't have said it. But I thought he could have taken a victory lap after the game, and I actually talked to him after the game, and it was on air. And I said, how much does this win mean? And he actually offered it up. He said, I didn't mean any disrespect to Alabama. I meant that I believed in our team. And so I thought that was sort of a step in the right direction. And I doubt you'll hear him say much more about any more opponents coming, down the road. They still have to play Miami. They play Clemson. They play Florida. I would imagine he takes a little bit of a different approach. But the best part about it, and you mentioned it, was that he did back it up. Because I've always been like, hey, if you want to talk, go ahead, but you better back it up. More and more players nowadays are more willing to, give good quotes to the media and give bulletin board material. As long as you back it up, I'm totally okay with it now.
Speaking of Miami, you just touched on them. A great win for them over Notre Dame. Everybody's excited about Beck as their quarterback, and they believe they're going to make Miami for real this year. You think they're for real? I mean, they move up in the top 5 in the AP poll?
Yeah.
Are they that good in your opinion?
I think so. And again, it kind of goes back to what I was saying about the wide open nature of the season. There's no clear-cut front runner. In years past, there's been an Ohio State like last year who just looked like the best team, and it was kind of separate from everybody else. Bama, Georgia, we've seen kind of those dominant teams come to the forefront. So with no one really kind of that looks that much better, head and shoulders above everybody else, I do put Miami in that top tier of college football. Carson Beck, their quarterback, I had my doubts about. I was kind of curious to see what he would look like in a new system, coming off major elbow surgery. I thought he might have looked most comfortable just from a pocket passer position. He looked poised. He looked comfortable within the system. I liked the way he was getting through his reads. He didn't make the big mistake. And his offensive line played phenomenally well. He had all day to throw. And then more importantly, the defensive line, Reuben Bain and Akeem Mesidor coming off the edge. I do think Miami's legit. So I think they're, and you have to go by. We only have 1 week of information. Based on 1 week, they look the part, and I do think that's a team that will make some noise in the ACC at the very least.
So Clemson, LSU was a heck of a game at Death Valley, an atmosphere that, you love it. That atmosphere kind of says it all about college football. I mean, the television ratings for this past weekend for the top games were off the charts. People were ready for college football, and you could sense that in Death Valley. And LSU rose to the task in a very tough setting for a visiting team. What did you take away from that, both from an LSU and a Clemson standpoint?
Well, I thought that game probably lived up to the billing the most, right? I mean, those were two powerhouses with veteran quarterbacks that, had very, very high expectations. And clearly LSU getting that win was a huge resume builder for them. And I know Brian Kelly's been puffing his chest and talking a little bit. And, that's what you can do after you do that. And he had so much pressure on him for the lack of success he's had in openers. I'm sure that was him just letting off a little steam because he had taken so much criticism. And I thought they were going to be a contender in the SEC and nationally no matter what, even win or lose that game. On the flip side for Clemson, I was a little bit disappointed in Clemson. There were two things I was disappointed in. I thought their defense played good enough to win, right? And that was the question mark last year. I thought they stepped up and they delivered. But Cade Klubnik, I thought he would perform better on that stage. It's been one criticism of his, which is starting to become validated, where he hasn't played great against the best competition, and he kind of vanished in that big stage. And I didn't love the way he was seeing the field, the way he wasn't seeing the field, I guess would be the more appropriate thing to say. He looked like his confidence was a little bit shaken, but I think it's understandable. The other thing that I'm concerned about for Clemson is just the lack of a run game. I mean, that was kind of a concern of mine. That was the biggest X factor in that game. Would they be able to run the football? And I do wonder who's going to be carrying the ball. They converted Adam Randall from wide receiver to running back. I do think they were going to have to try to figure that position out because you can't just be one-dimensional, even with a quarterback as good as Cade Klubnik. And I do think without their best wide receiver in Antonio Williams, I thought that was concerning too, something that really was frustrating for Cade Klubnik not to have his favorite target out there. So I feel confident that Clemson will get things figured out. But I was a little bit disappointed in the offense and Cade Klubnik in that offensive run game. That was kind of concerning, but I do think they'll iron it out and they'll be able to figure things out going down the road.
Danny Cannell with us here tonight on Sports Talk, looking back at week 1 of the college football season. And Danny, in your DK Top 12, you were so impressed with LSU. You've got them ranked number 1 just ahead of Ohio State. I think a lot of folks would be curious as to why you wouldn't have Ohio State number 1 after their win over Texas.
Oh, my goodness. You would have thought I didn't have Ohio State ranked based on the reaction from Buckeye fans. I mean, it's like, I had them number 2, right? So I do very specifically, I don't like power rankings. I don't like people who go with who they think are the top 12 teams because you're always going to get proven wrong. Like, we're just wrong all the time. So I am very much a resume-based kind of person. I want to see what you've actually accomplished on the field. So with just 1 week of information, I didn't have Penn State ranked at all. They played a cupcake. I didn't have Oregon ranked at all. They played a cupcake. Georgia, I didn't have ranked. So basically sorry about that.
Oops. Danny, I think we lost your connection. There you go.
Is that any better?
Yeah, you're better.
Away from it.
No, go right ahead.
Oh, my goodness. Okay, that was a little lightning alarm. I'm sitting outside my daughter's volleyball game. That was kind of crazy. After 1 week, I thought LSU had the best win. All I had to go is one game, and that's all I'm judging it off of. And so basically for me, it comes down to who had the best win of the weekend. I thought it was unequivocally LSU. They did it on the road in that environment, which is one of the best environments in college football, and they did it against a veteran quarterback in Cade Klubnik, and who they made look like a regular quarterback. Like, that's not easy to do. So that aspect had me give it just a little bit more important and a little bit more impressive than what Ohio State did. At home, a huge edge to play at home, and then against Arch Manning, who was making his first big start on the road. I thought it was a pretty much a no-brainer. I considered putting Miami at a little bit of a higher spot, but I gave Ohio State that second spot. And boy, those Buckeye fans, they are not happy with me. But I feel pretty confident that Ohio State will they'll be right where they need to be at the end of the season if they keep playing like that.
You had South Carolina number 6. What was your takeaway from their win against Virginia Tech? And speaking of quarterbacks, what impresses you about Lenore Sellers?
Oh, I thought that was one of the more impressive wins of the weekend. That Virginia Tech is a pesky team, and they're backs against the wall. Their coach, Brent Pryce, starting to get on the hot seat a little bit, and they have a pretty impressive quarterback, too, who South Carolina was able to get 2 interceptions, and how appropriate and how kind of fitting was it that South Carolina gets the punt return, sort of take control of that game with Shane Beamer playing in front of his dad. I mean, you had to love that storyline. And Lenore Sellers is somebody who I thought he played good. I think he still needs to take that step forward. But I think probably the best thing for South Carolina was that Nick Harbor finally delivered, somebody who's always been the potential guy. He's a physical specimen on the outside, but the production just hasn't matched. For him to get that big touchdown catch, you might see that pairing quite a bit more this season, and that's going to be something Lenore Sellers is going to really find a favorite target in if he keeps delivering like that. We know what Lenore Sellers can do with his legs. He's an incredible athlete. I just like to see him continue to progress in the pass game, which I think you'll see happen over the course of the season.
Of course, this weekend, I guess the Oklahoma-Michigan game will be the big game nationally out in Norman. Brent Venables needs to take a big step up with his program this year. He's giving $1 million back to the school to spend on the players, so he's trying to maybe help out his reputation that way a little bit, but he can help himself out a whole lot if they can pull off a win. And this quarterback, this transfer quarterback, I mean, that's the thing about the portal. You get the right guy at quarterback, you can turn everything around in a hurry. They might have the right guy.
I agree. I thought John Mateer was the best quarterback available in the transfer portal this offseason. And not only did they get the quarterback, they got him to come with his offensive coordinator, Ben Arbuckle, from Oregon State. I think that's a huge edge because it's not easy to learn new systems and new terminology. And, you know, it's hard enough to get used to new teammates. If you're learning a new system, that can be incredibly challenging. And I thought that was huge, that he knew the system. I thought he looked very comfortable in the pass game. The one thing that I was a little bit concerned about for Oklahoma in their first game against Illinois State, they did not run the ball very well, which is pretty alarming. That's the one question mark I have for Oklahoma. That offensive line is a work in progress. There's a lot of new pieces up there, and that was the one concern. It looks like Oklahoma has all the pieces except the offensive line. And I think Michigan's defense could provide some challenges for John Mateer. And if they can't run the football against Michigan, I don't know if he's going to have quite the day that he had against Illinois State. They can still win the game. I think this is going to be more of a defensive game, sort of lower scoring. You mentioned Brent Venables. He's taken over defensive play calling. He's facing a quarterback making his first start on the road. They're in Bryce Underwood, who everybody knows about, you know, the 10, 12 million, whatever number it finally was from Michigan. But he's the high-priced recruit that's still a true freshman. I mean, he is incredibly young, and he looked very, very good in their opener versus New Mexico. But this is an entirely different ball game. And the one thing I think to watch out for with Bryce Underwood is I think they'll use his legs a little bit more. They didn't really run him against New Mexico because they didn't have to. I think they're going to work him more in the run game because that's sort of one of those things you can take the pressure off of him. He doesn't have to think very much. You just go use your athleticism, let your kind of body and your skill set take over. I think that's one thing to keep an eye on in this game.
I know this is exhale weekend for a lot of teams, but where in the world did Florida State find East Texas A&M? I mean, that's not Texas A&M, and it's not Texas. No. It's not even East Tennessee. It's East Texas A&M.
Oh, man, I hate it, too. I hate it. I mean, I don't like any of these cupcakes. I hold it against teams. I'll probably drop Florida State in the rankings because they don't play anybody. The next week, I think they have Kent State, so it's not exactly getting any better. Like, they just have two complete walkovers. And I get it. Like, a lot of teams do that. I wish they weren't back-to-back. There's no preseason, so you kind of have put it in there somewhere. I'd actually wish it was week one because you kind of get a feel. I just wish we would kind of do away with these games altogether. I criticize teams all the time for scheduling. I would throw Florida State in that mix too. They still do play Florida out of conference. They still just played Alabama, so they're still playing 10 Power 4 teams. I just wish we could get rid of these games altogether. But unless we get sort of a scheduler, like a commissioner, and where everybody in the country doesn't get to select their schedule, you're just given your schedule like the NFL does. Unfortunately, we're still going to see these unfold, and they do mean a lot to the programs they play. Those paydays that East Texas A&M is going to receive probably funds their entire athletic department for the whole season. So until we see that change, I just don't think there's ever going to be something different. But I wouldn't be surprised 4 or 5 years down the road these times of the games go away, which I think will be a good thing.
You're liking the SEC going to 9 league games, aren't you?
I am. Yeah, I really am. I think it's good for college football. That's like a step in the right direction. Plus, not only that, but Greg Sankey said he wants another Power 4 opponent for, a potential 10th game, which I think is great. I think there's a really easy solution to this that it wasn't even brought up. Like, I don't care if the SEC would have gone to 9 games. I don't care if the Big Ten plays 9. I think it should be a requirement to be eligible for the playoff that you pay 10 Power 4 teams. Like, I don't care if they're conference opponents. Like, the ACC is still at 8 conference games. Nobody cares. Like, nobody wants to see more Wake Forest versus Boston College. They want to see Florida State, Bama. They want to see Clemson, LSU. They want to see Clemson, South Carolina. So it's really easy, too, and I get it because a lot of programs know they're not going to be in the mix for the playoffs, so they kind of want to get their program headed in the right direction. So if you have years where you don't think you're going to be good and you kind of just want to take a step in the direction, schedule those cupcakes if you want to. You just won't be eligible for postseason play or for the playoff. You can be eligible for a bowl. You just can't be eligible for the playoff. I think it's a really easy solution. And I think to keep an eye on the ACC, I think that's something they'll do. I don't think they'll go 9 conference games. I just think that Commissioner Phillips, Jim Phillips, will make them all say, hey, we all have to play 9, potentially 10 Power 4 opponents. Just we're not going to do them against each other because, if anything, the ACC needs better competition to build their resumes as opposed to just playing each other more.
Danny, quickly, if I can, dovetailing off that point, is that the reason that Virginia and NC State are playing this weekend in what is deemed a non-conference game for them?
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know how these things work out sometimes like that. I'm not exactly sure, but that's a tricky game, too. Watch out. I've got actually NC State on upset alert this weekend. Chandler Morris, somebody I'm sure you guys are probably familiar with, Chad Morris' son. He's at Virginia. He looked really comfortable in week 1. I'm a little bit worried about Dave Doran's squad this year. I thought they should have blown out East Carolina. Instead, they needed that fourth quarter stand on the goal line to come out with the win. Virginia might be one of the more improved teams in the ACC, so that's a really interesting game at noon that's going to kick off the day that's kind of flying under the radar on a weaker weekend. There's not great matchups. I think that game's going to be a fourth quarter game and one to keep an eye on.
As always, Danny, it has been a pleasure having you with us. Love your work, love hearing you, love seeing you, love having you with us. We'll do it again in a few weeks, and have a great weekend and enjoy the football.
Thanks, Danny.
For sure. I appreciate it. I'm going to go get out of the lightning now as the lightning alarm went off. So I apologize for that.
No.
We'll see you
All
guys.
good. Thank you so much. Danny Cannell. Boy, he's great, isn't he? I mean, just terrific.
He really is. He really is, and he knows his stuff.
Yeah.
He really does.
Yeah, I love you're right.
Isn't East Texas A&M, isn't that the school for which Kathy Ireland kicked in Necessary Roughness, the movie? Wasn't that them?
You'd have to look that up, as they say.
I was just trying to make a bad joke, but yeah.
It was a bad joke. Congratulations. You accomplished it. It was a bad joke.
It really was. Just I agree with Danny. Don't play these games.
Hey, Shane Beamer on his call-in show tonight. Offensive guard Shed Surratt is back. He'll play this week. Judge Collier, JT Gear, who are hurt on Sunday, they're out this week. Expects them back next week. Recruiting after the break.
I'm attorney Jim Corbett. I'm not a case manager. I'm a lawyer for over 35 years. I don't charge 40% for your injury in your rec case or any on-the-job injury. Call 803-765-2968 and ask for Jim Corbett, or email me, jim@jimcorbettattorney.com, for the experience of a lawyer handling your injury case. Jim Corbett, 803-765-2968. jim@jimcorbettattorney.com. Put 35 years of experience to work on your injury case.
South Carolina's taste buds have spoken, and they're asking for beef. There are more than 7,800 farms raising cattle from pasture to plate in the Palmetto State. So whether it's steaks on the grill before the big game, sirloin medallions plated for date night, or burgers with a family, make sure beef is a part of your playbook this football season. Smoked, grilled, and slow roasted. Find the best way to enjoy your beef at sccattle.org. Beef. It's what's for dinner in South Carolina. Funded by the South Carolina Beef Council, part of the Beef Checkoff program.
When South Carolina's best high school football players take the field at the Touchstone Energy Cooperatives Bowl, they're backed by a powerful team of their own. As proud title sponsors, your local co-ops celebrate more than just a game. It's a tradition where talent shines, where teamwork matters, and where community spirit takes center stage. Don't miss the 78th Touchstone Energy Cooperatives Bowl, December 13th at Doug Shaw Memorial Stadium in Myrtle Beach, powered by your electric cooperative.
G3 here with Tsunami Bar Sports, and it's time for a fall preview. That's right, 720 Chris Drive, 378 and I-26, Frontage Road, where you can now preview the best technology for golf known to man. It's the Tsunami Bar. It's live weight. It's the only technology out where you get your tempo and flow going before you play. Now, it also serves as a pattern support tool. 720 Chris Drive, Frontage Road, 378 and I-26. You also can visit the Garage Gym Pro Shop. Pick up your tools, take them home, and while you're here, tour the Scramble Course 6-hole pitch and putt right now.
The Sports Talk Recruiting Report is sponsored by Seawell's Catering.
All right, Danny Cannell, awesome. About as awesome as the daily luncheon buffet at Seawell's. You can enjoy that on an absolute daily basis. Well, Tuesday through Friday from 11 till 2 for only $15. I think we've got a roast beef Friday in our future tomorrow, do we not, Plummer?
We sure do, and my mouth is already watering.
Yeah, I can hear the spit coming out of it right now. It's pretty disgusting. And for the very best in the catering business, for all your catering needs, just call Seawell's. It's all you got to do. 803-771-7385, online at SeawellsCateringSC.com. So, tight end Caden Ramsey of Cross, he'll be coming off the board on Monday. He has a 12:30 announcement at his school. South Carolina, Virginia Tech, Georgia, and Syracuse, the Final Four. His coach, Sean Wright, tells us it's more like a Final Two. Told us last night that he thinks he knows what his player is going to do. He seems to be locked in on South Carolina and Virginia Tech. Syracuse and Georgia Tech had been in it. He thinks it's coming down to those two. And South Carolina tight ends coach Sean Elliott, they offered in June after putting him through an extensive workout in a late June camp. They like him as a hybrid tight end. He's also an outstanding safety. He had 14 interceptions. And so South Carolina is also kind of keeping an eye on him from that standpoint. Virginia Tech likes him strictly as a tight end. So look for that on Monday. I would say it's probably looking pretty good for South Carolina there. In fact, he plans to be at the South Carolina game Saturday and an official visit with the Gamecocks next weekend. South Carolina target offensive lineman Brady Hull was offered by Virginia Tech. A couple of more players going to be at South Carolina to add to the list Saturday. 27 offensive tackle Joshua Sam Appel. 27 cornerback Kenyon White. He's from Charlotte. Sam Appel's from Douglasville, Georgia. Clemson USC target defensive tackle Carlos May of Birmingham, offered by Ohio State. South Carolina basketball coach Lamont Paris was in on Wednesday to see 27 6'10 Charles Purr of Burlington, North Carolina. M&M coming up.
On Point weather on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Clear this evening with a low temperature dipping down to 68. Tomorrow, mostly sunshine-filled skies to go, with a reminder summer is still here. We'll have 92 as our high temperature. Same for Saturday, sunshine in again, 92 the high. On Sunday, we get a blend of sunshine and clouds. The high is 86. There's a 20% chance of an afternoon downpour. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
Get ready, anglers and hunters. September 19th through the 21st, join us for the last cast tent sale at Palmetto State Armory. Land up to 75% off from top brands like Berkeley, Abu Garcia, and Plano. From rods and reels, gun cases to backpacks, we've got everything you need to take on your next adventure. Join us all weekend long for hot deals, pro fishing tips, food trucks, and more. See you September 19th to the 21st at Palmetto State Armory, 3760 Fernandina Road, Columbia.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. A federal appeals court panel has put on hold a lower court judge's order to wind down operations of the Immigration Detention Center in the Florida Everglades, dubbed Alligator Alcatraz. The three-judge panel in Atlanta on Thursday decided by a 2-1 vote to stay the federal judge's order pending the outcome of an appeal. The judges in the majority said it was in the public interest. Leaders of a Chicago suburb that houses a federal immigration processing center say they were told that the Trump administration's promised immigration enforcement surge will run for about 6 weeks. Broadview Mayor Katrina Thompson said in a letter to village residents this week that the building used to temporarily hold immigrants before they're detained or deported will serve as the primary processing location. This is SRN News.
Lots of plumbing companies out there. Few are truly local. Time to discover the difference with Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning. See, when I faced plumbing woes at the Cohen home, Josh and his dedicated team, well, they were my go-to solution. They make a commitment to exceptional service. They arrived on time, clearly detailed all the costs and procedures, and efficiently handled all my repairs without any surprises. These days, how often do we complain about a lack of customer service out there? With Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning, these folks are professional. They're courteous. They're skilled at what they do, and they've earned my trust, and they've earned my recommendation to you. From urgent repairs to the tankless water heater you've always wanted, they've got you covered. Visit franklinplumbing.sc.com or call 799-2222. That's 799-2222. Hey, you tell them Kev sent you from The Point. I'm pretty sure you'll want to thank me later.
Hi, I'm Jeremy Sweet from Sweet Comfort Services HVAC. We're locally owned and operated, which really helps keep pricing reasonable. With lower overhead and more accountability, we stand by the systems we install, our repairs, and our parts. Most nationally owned companies know they have plenty of work this time of year when it's really hot. We'll treat you great no matter what time of year it is. Call Sweet Comfort Services HVAC at 803-331-8143. That's 803-331-8143.
How does a car repair shop last in business for over 50 years like Sudeth Automotive? By providing affordable, reliable, and honest auto repair. But if you ask them, they'll tell you it's their loyal customers who come back time and time again to entrust them with their car repairs, well-trained technicians, service packages, and monthly specials. Isn't it time you become a customer? Call or come by at 1410 North Millwood Avenue or make an appointment at SudethAuto.com.
Hi, we're Glenn and Melanie Matthews, your neighborhood partners from Modern Exterminating. Since 1955, we've shielded your homes from unwanted guests.
Corporate giants, door knockers, startups.
No competition for our 3 generations of trust and expertise in pest control.
Choose local, choose family, choose peace of mind.
Experience the Modern Exterminating difference. Call 803-765-2315 or visit pestfreesc.com today.
We are Modern Exterminating. It's your home and it's our mission.
Do you crave growth for your business? That's where The Point comes in. Fran Halloran here. Kevin Cohen and the other local hosts like me have worked to create a space where listeners transform into family. Are you a local business aiming for the stars? You need to get with Kevin and let him help create an individualized blueprint for your growth using the influential stage of The Point Radio. Reach out directly at 563-8558. Teaming with The Point, make this year extraordinary.
It's the M&M Boys on Sports Talk with former Clemson offensive lineman Will Merritt and former South Carolina linebacker Corey Miller on the Sports Talk Media Network.
Okay, we continue on Sports Talk on this big Thursday night edition. Phil Kornblut, Chris Bergen, the plumber, Josh Cohen, back in our studios. Getting the M&M boys together, we have got the pastor of pain, the former Gamecock great, standout defensive end, NFL star with the fabulous New York Giants of his era, Corey Miller. And we're getting Will Merritt on the line as well, the former Clemson starting offensive lineman. Let's welcome in the pastor of pain to Sports Talk once again. Corey, how are you, sir?
Greetings and salutations, my friends. Hope you're doing well. I'm doing great. Glad to be with you.
Great to have you back with us. Do you get a little, with the NFL season opening tonight, do you get a little extra, is there a little itch, going on somewhere? Like, man, I still wish I could be out there busting heads.
No, not really, bro. That's as that song said, dead and gone. That's, the only get.
Hello. Corey's line dropped. And we don't have Will.
I'm good.
There you go. You're back up. Go ahead. You were saying something?
I was saying that the only itch that I get right now is jock itch.
Oh.
No itch for football. Yeah.
Well, for a guy your size, that could be a rather large problem, I imagine. But anyway.
Could be.
Let's talk about your Gamecocks. I know you're feeling, from the standpoint of getting the dub on a Sunday in Atlanta against a quality opponent, moving up to number 10. What's there not to like? There's some things you could break down with the performance, obviously. Everybody's been doing that, but they got the W.
Well, that's the main thing, Phil, especially for the first game of the year, neutral site, a ball game against a Power 5 opponent, Virginia Tech. You don't normally know what's going to happen. You can feel and think that you might have a good team, but first time that you get a chance to really go out there full throttle and play football, and the anxiety and the angst is there with players, and mistakes is going to happen. So I thought the first quarter and fourth quarter were amazing for South Carolina. The in-between quarters struggles there, but that's to be expected. But I think the good news for Shane Beamer and this football team is how they responded in the fourth quarters. That's where you want to win. You want to win in the fourth quarter. You want to be better conditioned, be prepared for those moments, and they thrived in that fourth quarter. On offense, they thrived in special teams, which they normally dominate that area specifically. And I was excited, getting the win. If it was 1 point, just getting the win. But the way they dominated that fourth quarter, to me, tells me a lot about this football team going forward.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's shift from happy talk over to the pity party. We welcome in from the Clemson side, former Tiger offensive lineman Will Merritt. Great to have you with us once again. What the hell happened against LSU?
Yeah, well, first of all, I hope you guys are having a good week and glad to be on with you. It was LSU was better. At the end of the day, they made more plays than we did. I know that's cliche to say about week one, but obviously you played a good football team and they made more plays. And, for Clemson to have not played near to our potential, in my opinion, at all on offense, to be, a play away from tying the game at the end was remarkable. I just didn't feel like that the game was indicative of us having a chance to win the game at the end. But at the same time, they kept fighting and they did fight to the end and they clawed. And it's just like I think Corey alluded to when he was doing his synopsis. Week one, it's never going to look pretty. I didn't think it was going to look that ugly offensively. I did not think that from a offensive line and quarterback standpoint that we would struggle the way we did. But I think you got to give credit to LSU. They had a very, very good game plan as far as getting Cade out of the pocket very, very quickly and trying to make him throw on the run all night long, and that's what they did. And unfortunately, if you become one-dimensional in any ball game, I don't care who you're playing, if you become a one-dimensional offense, it is very easy for the opposing defensive coordinators to be able to dial up a game plan, and Clemson became so one-dimensional throughout the ball game. I think we were fortunate to even have a chance to tie it at the end. So not pretty. Defense, I think they played good enough to be a championship-type team. There's no doubt that our defense is legit. They kept us in the ball game, and they did not lose that game on any level whatsoever. But a lot to be desired on the offensive side of the ball, Phil.
Yep. Defense was good. Punting was good. Place kicking missed one. But who do you put the blame on when it comes to just totally forgetting about the running game early in the second half? Of course, you got Riley calling the plays, but you got a head football coach who's on the headset as well and also has input as to what goes on in a ball game. So what's the issue there?
Phil, Phil, I mean, I've been asked that question, a dozen times already this week, and I don't really have a good answer. And that's unfortunate because I know I'd like to have the crystal ball and be able to say, oh, well, if we do this, everything is fixed. I don't think the offensive line actually played that bad in a lot of the majority of the ball game. There were major letdowns in the running game, but really, how many at-bats did we really give them running the football? It's not like that you had a chance to get into a rhythm. You were so sporadic with the running game, I'm not sure that continuity was ever going to be a factor. So who do I blame? I mean, you got to blame the guys that are calling the plays in, but at the same time, let's face it, guys, blame has to go on players as well. I mean, if they call plays and there are wide receivers open all night long, there were receivers wide open. And we just didn't see them. Cade didn't see them. Nobody saw them other than us in the stands and probably coaches in the press box. But for whatever reason, the vision wasn't there. The play call was what it was, and it was not executed. I understand everybody wants to blame the guys getting paid millions of dollars, but, well, heck, in NIL days, everybody's getting paid millions of dollars, so can't just say that. But the players still have to go out there and make the plays, and there were multiple opportunities in that game for us to score big plays and big chunks of yardage and just flat missed it. And as a Clemson guy, if you go back and watch the game again, you'll get sicker the second time you watch it.
M&M boys, Will Merritt, Corey Miller with us. Corey, I mean, winning kind of covers up all your flaws, and South Carolina won, so people are happy and they're not really dissecting the flaws. But, I mean, as you mentioned, the first drive, fourth quarter, in between there wasn't a whole lot of offense there for South Carolina. Offensive line had its issues. Is this going to be a struggling group this season, or can you see some major improvement? I mean, you'll see it this weekend against South Carolina State, but, I mean, then when they step into SEC play, are they going to be able to handle it? Did we lose Corey? Pastor?
I'm here. Can you hear me, guys?
We got you now. Yeah, did you hear the question?
Okay. Yeah, I did. The offensive line is going to be okay. I was at practice on Wednesday. I watched them, and they're going to be just fine. I mean, they didn't play their best. They had some lapses in there, and really the offense in most teams, if you go back and look at Ohio State, you look at Texas, you look at some of these prolific offenses struggled in game number one because you haven't really played really a live football game. So you expect, not to be as good. You expect not to be in that type of rhythm because offense is based on rhythm and flow and that type of thing. So they're going to be just fine. They had some problems, but they'll fix it. You normally get better from game one to game two. Now I know playing South Carolina State, that's not going to, you're not going to see that, but Vanderbilt coming up, teams like that, getting in the SEC play, you're going to see that. But this is a good football team, man. They are well coached. I was extremely proud of this defense. Of all six guys, the question mark was the defense, right? And they answered the call. And those young linebackers, I think we're better athletically at that position, even though we had guys drafted in the NFL. But I think these young guys are extremely fluid and fast and instinctive and those types of things. So I like this team. They're where they need to be in striking distance. They just got to keep winning now. They got a challenging schedule for sure. But if they get better and keep winning, they'll be a playoff caliber football team. And now I'm looking forward to see really how well Shane can do with his football team.
Are you at all concerned about a few of the down-the-field big plays Virginia Tech was able to score in the passing game where it appeared to me the corners, the defenders didn't find the football, didn't play the football well?
No, I mean, but those are fixables, right? If you just get beat, flat-out beat, outran, that type of thing, I maybe would worry. But, how to play the ball, things like that just comes with repetition, man. I mean, you just got to know how to be instinctive, when to watch those hands, when to go up, when to try to knock. Those guys are going to get better. And they can play. They got good talent. They got great coaches. I'm not really worried about South Carolina. I think for them, the biggest thing is they can stay healthy. I mean, if anything, I might worry about depth, especially on the defensive side. It's going to be a lot of young guys that will have to play if guys go down. But I think this is a really good football team that's going to have a great chance to prove themselves throughout the season You know, when you play the Alabamas of the world, even Vanderbilt, when they get in the SEC play, Oklahoma, they're going to have some games there that they can separate themselves and do some good things. So I'm excited. Like I said, I was at practice. I had lunch with a lot of the guys and having a chance to talk to them and really just see where their hearts are, man. I just love the attitude, the mindset, and the culture that has totally changed, bro. I mean, Shane has totally changed his culture, and I like what I see.
What does that mean?
If I was Corey, after what I saw this weekend, I don't believe I'd be worried about Alabama. I believe Alabama's more worried about South Carolina.
Yeah, right. Well, I mean, again,
what do you mean when you say culture change? What exactly are you pinpointing out there?
I'm pinpointing just the atmosphere. I'm pinpointing the confidence feel, just the swag. You know, I told a guy out there, you know, I used to come to practice and I'd be at Alabama practices as well, and I come and see South Carolina. I'm like, oh boy, we're not ready. You know, strength. I mean, Luke has done an outstanding job, strength coach-wise. They're strong. They look the part. I mean, you look at their linemen, their D linemen athletically. I mean, they're long, they're fast. I mean, and they have a confidence, man, that's different than what it used to be around there. You know, it used to be, I hope so. That culture was, I hope we can get a win. Now there's an expectancy around South Carolina to beat even the better teams. I mean, they went toe-to-toe with that LSU team last year and should have won that game. Horrible calls cost them that game. They went on the road to Tuscaloosa and really should have won that game in Alabama. They are battle-tested. They know and they believe and that they can win. And Shane has really built that. The coaches coach that way. It's just unbelievable, the confidence and the swag that they have, man. They don't take second seat to anybody in the country when it comes to South Carolina. I'm glad to see that.
All right. Now, Will, on Tuesday, Dabo Swinney pulled out his paddle, and he tattooed some backsides publicly. Has Clemson you hear Corey talking about the Gamecocks with the swagger. Has Clemson lost the swagger?
I think that's ridiculous to say after one game. I think
asking.
That's a little bit of absurd. Now, but let me just be clear. You know, you talking about Dabo being very critical. That's not unusual. I think the thing that's an anomaly is the fact that he typically doesn't do it with the media. A lot of times he does not do it publicly like he did this past week, and I think that was, every coach has to coach his team at that moment. You guys have been around football every week. You've got to coach that team for that moment, for that scenario. And right now, he felt like that. Hey, there were some guys that needed, their tails chewed, and that's what he did. But that's not unusual. The unusual part, I think, is a lot of times that we have the fodder publicly to be able to go to radio shows and newspapers and blogs and things like that and make your own assumption about what he was saying, what he wasn't saying, read between the lines. That's just called fandom. That's nothing new. But I do think that he had every right to be critical in a lot of areas, and I'm not saying it stopped with just the players. I think that you could see that he was challenging coaches as well. I think the only people he wasn't challenging are some of the guys that he brought up, and voiced that they played their guts out and played great football, and a lot of them were being doubled and triple teams at times and still played games. Those are the guys that he knows that he's going to count on week after week. The other guys, they just have to grow up, mature, and make plays. If you're going to have everybody talking good about you in preseason, they better be able to talk good about you on Sunday morning. And that just did not live up to the hype Saturday night.
All right.
Well, let me say this quick about Clemson. I know we're getting tight here.
Yeah.
But Clemson, here's the thing. There's no sin in losing to LSU. Matter of fact, I picked LSU to maybe potentially win the national championship, and that offense was struggling because LSU is just that good on defense. They made the right hires as far as coaches. They got great players. They fixed what they struggled with last year. So there's no shame at all in losing to LSU and playing them in a tough game. Now, let me say this. Two things that Clemson has not fixed is going to be a problem when they play elite talent is their linebackers and their safeties. Until they get better at those two positions, Peter Woods is my kind of dude, bro. That dude is violent, plays the game the right way, and I respect the heck out of him. But if they don't get better, faster, more athletically and physical at those two positions, they'll get through the ACC. But when they play top-notch SEC kind of talent, they're going to lose games, and those people are going to make plays. And I think people are upset because he's 0-4. What is it, 0-4 the last 4 against the SEC? Overall, he hasn't done well the last 3 years against the SEC, and I think that's Clemson's not the same.
Let me speak to that too. You also got to talk about that Clemson doesn't play all of the SEC. They play the elite. Every time they do play one, it's either Alabama or LSU or Texas or South Carolina, whatever. We're not playing the Vandys and the Kentuckys and the Mississippi States. And so, I mean, when you lump the SEC, we're only playing the top upper half of the ACC, top 4, top 5. So when you do talk about records, you also have to realize we don't get to play the schleps just like there are in the ACC, just like there are in every conference. So you got to kind of take that with a grain of salt about who the actual competition is when you're playing the SEC in playoff games, national championship games. That's a little bit different than just a regular season playing down at Starkville.
All right. It is time.
But I will say this, man. I mean, listen, I will say this. Clemson, and I said something, I'm on Alabama radio every day.
Yep.
When the expectation, Clemson is not just ordinary Joe football team anymore. The expectation is championship for Clemson. And when those expectations, whether it be nationally or fan base, when you expected it, because they have won those games against Ohio State even, and teams, they have won those games. But when you go back, South Carolina, you go to Texas, you go to Georgia, you go to LSU, you start going back over the last 3 years, even the last time against LSU where they got dominated and given up with Brent Venables. I mean, giving up 700 yards of offense or what it was. You go back and start looking at that. Once again,
I mean, how many times are you going to dig back into 4 or 5 years ago? I'm talking about even here recently, it's been the upper half of anybody that you played. But, I mean, obviously, Phil, you don't have a 2-hour show for us to gripe at each other. So
No. And, in fact, I got to get to the rivalry meter reading for this week after last weekend. So, Corey, what you got? Rivalry meter reading by you.
Oh, they coming to William Bryce Sandstorm. It's going to be smoking. Lenoris Sellers, the best quarterback, as I told you. Look at him against LSU. Look at him against some top teams we're talking about. He did pretty good. Look at Cade Klubnik. My meter is 4,999.
Oh, all right. Will, what you got?
Well, it's easy for anybody to beat Billy Bad Butt after week 1, and you played a really, really bad Virginia Tech team that we destroyed last year. So anybody can beat Billy Bad Butt week 1, week 2. It's still going to be our game to lose at the end of the year.
Billy Bad Butt. Okay, guys.
I don't know, but we were Billy Bad Butt about a year ago. In the Memorial State, man, at Tiger Stadium Junior. They did pretty good up there, too. Just saying.
Have a great weekend, guys. Loved it. Talk to you next week.
Sounds good. See you guys.
Thank you so much. Pastor of Pain and Will Merritt. We got to come up with a good nickname for Will. Will Merritt, the Pastor of Pain, the M&M boys with us here on Sports Talk. Got to jump to the final break, and we'll be back to wrap it up tonight on this big Thursday night edition of Sports Talk. What a night.
Football season is upon us, and that means Columbia is welcoming fans from around the corner and across the country. No matter where you're from, Gamecocks love coming together for game day energy that can only be found in South Carolina's capital city. Book hotel rooms, find pre- and post-game activities, and plan your tailgate spread with local favorites from pimento cheese to barbecue at experiencecolumbiasc.com. We'll see you soon, and go Gamecocks!
You were always more than my mom. You were my role model, my best friend, and biggest supporter. You filled my days with unconditional love, and you also prepared for the day when you couldn't be here. Because of the woman you were back then, I'm able to be the woman I am now. Your planning made this moment possible.
Set your family up for life. Southern Farm Bureau Life Insurance. Your friends for life.
Life insurance isn't for you. It's for those you love the most. For a complete insurance review, call Buddy Bridges in Lawrence County at 864-923-2174, serving Lawrence, Clinton, and the shores of Lake Greenwood.
Southern Farm Bureau Life Insurance Company, Jackson, Mississippi. Not licensed to do business in all 50 states.
Call Lawyer Lisa. Experience the difference with Lawyer Lisa.
Hi, I'm Lisa Hosseller Brown. Did you know Lawyer Lisa offers a prevention plan add-on to our services? If you already have a trust or just need some updates, ask about getting your ducks in a row and getting all of your wishes set out before it's needed. Visit lawyerlisa.com for more information.
Call Lawyer Lisa. Experience the difference with Lawyer Lisa.
7511 St. Andrews Road, Irmo, South Carolina.
You've put in the work for your education. The extra early, extra late, extra work. That's because you understand education opens doors to better pay, better opportunities, and a better you. Being educated about playing the lottery is no different. It helps you be a better player, one who knows when to play and when to take a rain check. The lottery's a game, so let's keep it fun. Learn more at sceducationlottery.com/betteryou.
So no college football tonight.
Yeah, weird, right?
Yeah. NFL dominates. The big bad boy is back. I'm excited about my Packers on Sunday. Packers and Lions, great way to open up the NFL season for our teams. And, of course, tonight, always attractive when the Eagles and the Cowboys get together. Television ratings will be off the charts, I'm sure, for the NFL. I mean, the NFL, despite all the things that it does to itself, it cannot hurt itself. Speaking of TV ratings, saw where ratings came out for some things over the weekend. This is from ESPN, from their PR people. If you can trust the numbers. I mean, I don't know how they get these numbers. If you can trust the numbers. LSU Clemson, 10.4 million on ABC. Third largest audience of the weekend. Notre Dame, Miami, 10.8. Alabama, Florida State, 10.7. Virginia Tech, South Carolina, 5.4 million. 3 games with 10 million plus, 8.5 million, 8.6 million average across all their outlets. So college football back in all its glory from that standpoint.
Oh, no doubt. And I thought it was funny. I saw a couple of tweets and people talking about football being back today because the NFL starts. And that's sort of how a lot of folks approach things, the NFL, and its arrogance. It doesn't matter whatever else is going on. But I was thinking, gosh, here in our state, football's been back for 3 weeks at least.
I know.
If not longer.
Absolutely. We've been chewing on it for a while. Mm-hmm. All right, that'll do it. Back at you tomorrow night, a Founders Federal Football Friday from here in Chicago. Thank you, Bergie. Have a great night.
Sir.
And thank you, Palmer. Have a great night. Thanks to all of you for being with us tonight right here on Sports Talk. See you tomorrow.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces. Summer sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. There's no shortage of parent reactions to Florida's new vaccine mandate.
Florida Surgeon General Dr. Joseph Ladapo announced that the state plans to be the first to eliminate vaccine mandates in schools. Fort Lauderdale mother Yvette Fayes says it isn't a good idea.
Because we